Y'all, it's David Ducker coming back at you, and today we're going to be talking about setting expectations for your game, getting on the same page with the rest of your playing group. This was one of the first videos I did because it's one of the most important topics in gaming. It's the building the foundation for everything else. If you mess this part up, you'll have problems forever probably in your game. If you do this, you'll have far fewer problems, especially in the long term. So setting the expectations. First thing, go through the campaign tripod with your players. What's the setting that we're going to be in? Who are you as a team? And what is our story going to be like that we're exploring as a team in this setting? Make sure that they know all of those components. Now, they might not know the story in as much depth as you, but they can know, is this a story about a war? Is this a story about delving into a dungeon? Is it a story about romance? Is it a story about horrors from space coming down and eating our brains? Is this a story about us exploring new frontiers and meeting new people? So they can know the genre of the story. Even if they don't know the exact details of the story. And they shouldn't know the exact details. Because you can't even know some of the details until they get into it. But make sure you set that expectation. Okay, guys, this is a political game. This is not a hack and slash game. Set that expectation. And coming back, the setting. What's the technology level of the setting? And what's the genre of the setting? How do the physics differ from our world? Are there magic, psychic powers, robots, clones, superheroes, superpowers? What's the history of the setting like? Is it going to be pulpy and bombastic? Or is it going to be highly lethal and gritty? Or anything between? So that's all part of the setting. Make sure everyone knows all of that stuff. Again, before you get started. And then the last part of the campaign tripod is your team. Who are we as a group of individuals? What binds us together? Are we all members of the same temple, the crew of a starship, all members of the Rebel Alliance? Are we a superhero team? Do we all go to Miskatonic University? Are we members of the same noble house? A gang? Are we in a gang together? Are we on the police force together? Are we the students of a now deceased archmage? We've come together at his funeral. Whatever binds us together as a group really needs to be determined before you begin making individual characters. Because it's not an individual sport or pursuit. It's a group sport. It's a team pursuit. So you really, really need to make sure everyone's on the same page with that. And once you've gone through the campaign tripod, it's also a good idea to discuss the overall session length and the rule set as well. Is it going to be a one-night game? Is it going to be a mini campaign of 5 sessions? Will be a full-length campaign of 20 sessions. Will be long-running 30, 50, 70 sessions, because this will help the players pace themselves, plan ahead. If it's a one-night game, you don't need to write a lot of backstory. If it's a 5-night game, you still might not need to write a lot of backstory. If it's a 10-night game, you need a fair amount of backstory, and you might even need some goals to drive the plot forward. If it's a 20-session game, I really hope that you have some goals to drive the plot forward, and maybe start thinking about producing your character in terms of, okay, he's going to turn evil. Oh, he's going to have his sister killed, and he'll be sad and bitter. Or he's going to fall in love and stop being a curmudgeon, and feed that to your GM. You know, I've talked about that in the video, producing your character. But there's no point producing a character for a one-night game. It's a waste of your time. And setting the expectations for the game as a whole will prevent you from wasting your time, and it'll prevent other people from wasting your time. Because if you've not set those expectations, everyone will be on a different page. They'll be pulling the game in all kinds of different directions. You'll have one guy, you can't get him onto the party with everybody else. You'll have another guy who's always trying to talk, and another guy who's always trying to pick fights and do hack and slash. And it'll just fall apart very quickly. You'll have one guy who's, not interested in the story of the game. So everyone else is like, yeah, fuck the Dark Lord. We're going to go fight the Dark Lord. He killed my cousin. He enslaved that dude's wife. And that guy used to be in with the Dark Lord, but the Dark Lord stabbed him in the back. We're going after the Dark Lord. But then you got the one party member who's like, I don't really care about the Dark Lord. Let's go rob houses over in, let's be cat burglars in Nuln. And everybody's like, why would you be in the party? You wouldn't. You'd leave immediately. Well, you designed a shitty character for this team then, didn't you? And you can yell at them because we're all on the same page. If you don't set the expectation and then someone does what you weren't expecting, you can't yell at them. And I use the term yell at them very, very loosely to include stern words and kind ones. Yelling at someone in my vernacular is just anytime you're correcting someone on a previous behavior or issue, regardless of how gently you do it. And it should be done gently. Not that I haven't had, ungentle means thrust upon me at times, but I fully encourage you not to do that to your players. But if you have set the expectation, if you've said, everybody make a character who wants to kill the Dark Lord, and then Buddy shows up with the character who doesn't care about killing the Dark Lord, you can say, it's your fault. I told you what to do, you didn't do it. And however gently you want to say that, you have a leg to stand on. Wherein, if we didn't actually tell him that we're against the Dark Lord, and he shows up and he's not against the Dark Lord, you don't really have any recourse to complain. You can then set expectation, but you've wasted everyone's time now by not doing it in the first place. So always set the expectations. Again, it's just the campaign tripod. The setting, the story, the team, that's the foundation for your entire campaign. If everyone's lined up well, you have everyone from the same setting, instead of like a Space Marine and a Jedi Knight and a White Mage from Final Fantasy and a gnome illusionist from Golarion. Have people from the same setting. That's 1/3 of it, and make sure the setting is detailed and outlined. As far as is it gritty, or is it pulpy? Is there magic? Is there no magic? All of that good stuff. Make sure they know about the story well enough to construct their team. And the team, just make sure they all have a reason to travel and be together. And they might not need to travel at all. The whole campaign could take place in a city, or a city block, or a single room, especially if it's a one-shot. But make sure that you've set these expectations. You've told people ahead of time exactly what's going on. If nothing else, this is what you should be going over on your session 0. And if you've done session 0 without doing this, you've wasted your time in doing a session 0. And of course, all of this can be done without a session 0. You can do this easily over email, over Facebook, text message, however you want to do it, carrier pigeon. So I just thought I'd go over this again, as my previous video was a long time ago, and I think I can enunciate myself better this time, that I can be more clear and precise and speak at you with greater meaning. So let me know if there's anything I've forgotten in the comments below. Setting expectations, getting everyone on the same page before you move forward. So until I see you again, good day and good gaming.